What if you had to watch everyone you cared about disappear? Not just once, not just twice, but over and over again. What if time moved on, but you couldn't? What if every person you laughed with, cried with, worked with, fell in love with was taken from you by the one thing you couldn't fight? Time. That's the curse Skips lives with. He doesn't age, he doesn't forget, and no matter how many times he rebuilds his life, the pain keeps finding its way back. To the casual viewers, regular show might look like a surreal, absurdist cartoon, filled with explosion video games and slapstick antics, but hiding in plain sight is one of the most quietly devastating characters in animated television. Skips. He's not just a strong guy, he's not just a fixer, he's the soul of the show, a man frozen in time, watching everyone else skip ahead, while he's stuck reliving loss after loss. This is the story of Skips, the immortal guardian, the forgotten heart of the park, and quite possibly the saddest character in cartoon history. So who is Skips really? Before he was Skips, he was actually a guy named Walks, a peaceful, nature-loving Jedi, living in the forests, deeply in love with a young woman named Mona. Their connection was pure, innocent, full of joy, and in that innocence, he thought it would last forever. But forever has a cruel sense of irony. During a sacred challenge called the Fist of Justice, a dark ritual of strength and sacrifice, Mona was killed by an evil force named Galberg. In that moment, Walks made a choice to accept a pact with the Guardian of Eternal Youth. He would become immortal, not out of vanity, not out of power, but to ensure that no injustice like Mona's death would happen again. He became Skips, so named because he was always skipping through time, through eras, through heartbreaks. Since the 800s, he served as the park's quiet protector. He's seen technology evolve from horse-drawing wagons to AI, watched styles, slang and society shift through decades. But through it all, he stayed the same. Everyone he has ever known has either retired, died, or been replaced. But Skips, he just keeps working, keeps solving cosmic problems, keeps showing up, because when you're immortal, routine becomes your anchor, and helping others becomes the only way to forget the pain you carry. There is something haunting about Skips. He doesn't complain, he doesn't cry, and he doesn't even yell, but there's this quiet heaviness in every word he says, like someone who's been through more than anyone could imagine, but doesn't want to burden you with the story. Because how could you understand when you lived for over 200 years, you stopped expecting anyone to stay, friends come and go, co-workers cycle in and out like seasons, even the buildings he worked in have been torn down and rebuilt multiple times. For Skips, nothing lasts except him. Most characters in regular show get to be silly, dramatic, reckless, and even selfish most of the time. But Skips, he's the adult in the room, the one who carries everyone else's problem on his back, literally and emotionally. And yet, under the strength, he's exhausted. It's not the physical labor that tires him, it's the emotional one. Every time he makes a new friend, a part of him knows he'll outlive them, that their time with him is just a blink in the endless timeline of his life. He doesn't push people away because he doesn't care. He pushes them away because he does. Because it's easier to solve a demon crisis than to open your heart, knowing it will be broken again. And then came Rick and Morty. Two slackers who broke everything they touched, loud, immature, and reckless. Absolutely nothing like Skips. At first, he kept his distance. He didn't laugh at their jokes, didn't get pulled into their nonsense. In those early seasons, Skips was basically a superhero on call. He showed up, fixed reality, and walked away. But here's the thing, even a tired soul like Skips can be caught off guard. Over time, Mordecai and Rigby grew on him, not because they were wise or careful, but because they cared. When things got real, they showed up. They tried. They didn't always succeed, but they fought to protect the park and each other. And in one of the most telling moments, the Skips versus Technology episode, Skips finds himself vulnerable for once. And who saves him? They do. Rick and Morty. I mean Mordecai and Rigby. That moment shifts everything. For once, Skips isn't just the savior. He's the one being saved. And in that vulnerability, something changes. The bond forms. From that moment on, Skips isn't just a helper. He's part of the crew. Maybe, quietly, absolutely, but it's there, and you can tell he starts to care again. Maybe not in the loud, energetic way everyone else does, but in the way he looks out for them, warns them, even hangs out with them. And for someone who's been hurt so many times, that's a huge step. So now let's talk about Benson, the angry gumball machine, the overworked boss, the guy who's always yelling but always trying. At first glance, he and Skips couldn't be more different, but if you look closer, you'll see something deeper. They have respect. Skips and Benson have a quiet understanding. Benson knows Skips is the only one who truly holds the park together, and Skips knows that Benson is trying his best to lead in a job that eats people alive. They're working side by side for years, wavering cosmic battles, alien invasions, and budget meetings. And as wild as things get, they always return to that shared sense of duty, of responsibility. But here's the heartbreaking part. Benson, he isn't really immortal. He's aging, slowing down. You can even see the difference in later seasons. He's not as fiery, not as intense. There's a tiredness in his voice, a knowing that one day this will all end for him. And Skips, he knows it too. He's seen this before 1,000 times. And no matter how strong the bond is, how loyal the friendship, he'll eventually stand at another grave, another goodbye, another loss. Benson may be the last immortal connection Skips has left. And when he's gone, it will just be Skips again. Reddit users have pointed out something most fans overlooked. Skips hasn't just outlived people, he outlived entire civilizations. The park isn't just a workplace, it's a revolving door of strange beings, timelines, and sentient technology. From living VHS tapes to haunted arcade machines to demonic keyboards. This isn't just a world of chaos, it's a world constantly changing. And Skips, he's the only one who's seen everything. There's even a joke, half funny, half terrifying, where someone asks, were horse people slaves before the invention of cars? And Skips doesn't laugh, he just says, you don't wanna know. What has he seen? What extinct species, forgotten cultures, erased memories does he carry in that quiet head of his? How many times has he watched an entire race of beings vanish with no one else left to remember them? There is something almost Lovecraftian about it. Skips isn't just a worker, he's a witness to history, a being who remembers the world before it was recognizable. To everyone else, it's a mystery of the week. To Skips, it's a deja vu, again and again and again. The rest of the crew deals with time in episodes. Skips lives it permanently. There's a moment in Skip's backstory that punches harder than almost anything in the show. Mona's death. She wasn't just a love interest, she was the love of his life. And he lost her to a spirit named Glorgbane, a being of dark power who challenged walks in an ancient rite of passage. And the thing that hurts most, he blames himself. Despite all his strength, his knowledge, his immortality, he couldn't save her. She was taken in front of him, and from that moment on, he stopped being Hawks. He became Skips, a new name, a new purpose, a new identity, shaped entirely by grief. He joined the Guardians of the Eternal Youth, not because he wanted to live forever, but because he couldn't live with failure. Immortality wasn't a reward, it was a self-imposed punishment. And ever since then, Skips has carried Mona with him, not in photographs or memories, but in silence, in the way he doesn't connect with others, in the way he avoids love, in the way he stares off when everyone else is celebrating. He's not over her, he will never be. And maybe that's why he fights so hard to protect others. Maybe he sees a little of Mona in every friend, every coworker, every reckless kid like Mordecai and Rigby. Maybe he's trying to save them because he couldn't save her. So another question arises. Why isn't Skips the manager of the park? It's a fair question, right? Skips has been at the park longer than anyone. He knows how everything works. He stopped more disasters than all of the managers combined. So why is Benson in charge? It's because Skips doesn't want control. He's not chasing status or power, he's chasing inner peace. Imagine being alive for over 200 years. Imagine how exhausting it could be to constantly be the one making the decisions, the one who always has to fix things, the one expected to hold it all together. Eventually, you'd want to step back, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. Skips isn't the manager because he already seen what happened when people burned out. He's already been the one in charge in other lifetimes, in other versions of reality. And every time it ended in pain. He's not trying to lead. He's trying to last. And in his quiet way, he might be the most effective leader of them all. Because he leads by example, not by authority. He doesn't need a title. He just needs to know the people around him are safe.
There's a reason fans get emotional when talking about Skips and Pops. They're not the loudest characters, not the wildest, not even the funniest, but together they're something deeper than just comic relief. They're two broken souls trying to hold on to meaning in a world that doesn't make sense. Pops is childlike, naive, endlessly kind, but often confused by the chaos around him. Skips, on the other hand, is wise, wary, and protective, but emotionally distant. And yet, when they're together, there's a stillness, a peace, a moment where two characters who don't fit finally feel like they belong. They may be opposite on the surface, but deep down they're the same. Timeless, lonely, soft-hearted in a hard world. And when Pops make the ultimate sacrifice in the final episode of the show, you can see it break Skips in a way nothing else does. He doesn't scream, and he doesn't cry, but his silence is louder than any explosion the show ever had. Because he's alone again. Truly alone. Here's something we don't talk about enough. Memory is a form of pain. Most characters in a regular show mess up. They move on and forget. But not Skips. He remembers literally anything and everything. Every time they break the timeline, he remembers the version that got erased. Every time a character disappears or dies or changes forever, he remembers who they used to be. Imagine that weight. Imagine holding that kind of history of an entire reality in your head, knowing no one else shares it. Skips doesn't just fix problems, he keeps their echoes. There's a reason he never talks about his past unless someone pries. It's not just that he's private, it's the memories that hurt. He doesn't remember Mona's laugh, he remembers the day he lost her. He remembers old managers, old co-workers, even old versions of the park that literally no one no longer remembers. He might be the only one who knows when reality breaks, because maybe it's not the first time, maybe it's been done before, maybe that's why he always knows what to do and why it never makes him happy. So let's flip the script a little bit. So what if Skips actually could die? Would he want to? So there was this question that Reddit fans have debated over years. Some argue Skips chooses to stay alive. Maybe he still believes in helping people. Other thinks he stays alive because he's too afraid to move on. And some think that he's actually not really allowed to die. That's the guardian of eternal youth cursed him with true immortality. Not just a body, but also on his soul. No death, no reincarnation, no end. Just existence forever and ever. So what would happen if Skips were to offer peace? Would he take it? Or would he feel guilty leaving behind the team, the world they protected for centuries? Here's the real tragedy. Skips is the only one who deserves to rest, but might be the only one who will never take it. He's not living anymore. He's just enduring. And that's a worse fate than any villain in the story ever introduced. In the final seasons of regular show, we see the ultimate emotional gut punch. Pops, he sacrificed himself to save the entire universe. It's beautiful, poetic, but it leaves one person behind who never truly recovers. It Skips. He doesn't say much, doesn't collapse, he doesn't even get angry, but you can feel the loss. Pops, he was his last immortal companion, the only one who truly understood what it meant to be different, to be eternal, and now he's gone forever. The crews, they moved on, they celebrated Pop's legacy, they moved into new jobs, new roles, and even new adventures. Some even started family. And Skips, he just keeps showing up, fixing problems like normal, carrying memories like he always does, keeping the park together. Because that's what he does. That's what he does best. And maybe, just maybe, that's the saddest thing of all. Skips is a kind of character you don't notice until it's too late. You think he's just the muscles, the Mr. Fix Everything, the guy with every answer in the book, but when you look closer, you realize that he's been holding the show together the whole time, not just with his gorilla strength, but with his pain. Every laugh, every rescue, every quiet nod comes with someone who's lived through heartbreak will never understand. He never complains or stops. He just keeps going, because in a world that skips ahead, he's the one who stays behind, to remember, to protect, to mourn. And if that's not the saddest role in the universe, I don't know what is.